There's a powerful heat wave hitting the West Coast right now, expected to break significant records and potentially cause issues for residents who aren't prepared. And admittedly, I'm reading my script because my prompter went down. Local officials are holding news conferences to let the people know and warn them and share some advice on how to beat the heat. And in Los Angeles, residents have the extreme privilege of getting words of wisdom from their incredibly impressive mayor, Karen Bass, perhaps best known for taking 5 international trips since taking office, all paid for by taxpayers after promising those taxpayers she would not travel internationally as mayor. She pledged she wouldn't do it, and then she did it 5 times, including not once, not twice, but 3 separate trips to the Summer Olympics in Paris in 2024. She went, she came back, she went again, she came home, and then she went a 3rd time. You know how much a first-class round-trip ticket to Paris from LA costs, especially during peak times, like, I don't know, the middle of the Summer Olympics? Well, I searched. I couldn't find records of the actual cost of her airline tickets provided by the city, but according to the internet, seats typically exceeded $15,000 to $20,000 round trip per person that July, exceptionally high because of peak demand. And the mayor did that 3 times in 3 weeks after saying she wouldn't do it even once. She also, you might remember, went to Ghana in January of 2025 as part of a U.S. delegation for the inauguration of the Ghana president, which was really strange and awful timing, considering her office had been warned before she left of dangerously dry conditions and extremely high Santa Ana winds on the way, up to 100 miles per hour, prompting a very rare red flag warning, the highest level alert for fire weather and explosive fire growth. She knew the devil winds were coming, as they're called. She knew Los Angeles was suffering through an incredibly severe drought with no measurable precipitation for months, creating a record high amount of flammable vegetation described as critical, off-the-charts dry conditions. Wildfires were a massive concern. Almost everyone knew it. Even my 83-year-old father-in-law, who was visiting, predicted it the week before. It should have been all hands on deck, with every possible precaution taken to be prepared if and when there was a spark and a blaze. And yet, Bass went to Ghana anyway, and guess what happened next? The fires came. The Palisades and parts of Malibu and other areas surrounding LA were devastated, and the mayor eventually came home with her tail between her legs, playing catch-up and making excuses for her absence and taking zero responsibility for the way fire suppression and water management was botched. So fast forward to now and the heat warnings, and there was the mayor sharing some of her warped knowledge, including, she said, folks might not have air conditioning because it wasn't necessary until recently when global warming kicked in.
There are plenty of apartments and housing that have no air conditioning because, frankly, we didn't need it until the last few years as global warming has impacted our city.
Really? It wasn't hot enough for AC until the last few years? Lots of Angelinos have been roasting Bass for her comments, including comedian Adam Carolla, who says he grew up in LA and knows they needed AC 50 years ago because he wanted it and he didn't have any. Others say they lived in community pools in the summer to beat the heat. Another wrote, it's always been hot in LA, calling Bass a con artist. So I looked it up, and guess what? Bass was right. It was colder 50 years ago. The average temperature in the 70s compared to today in LA was 1 degree cooler. 1 degree. So instead of 90, it was 89. Thanks, Madam Mayor. You can go back to Ghana now, or Paris. I think your job is done here.
Information. Truth is freedom. is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.